of leadership and politics in Wisconsin begins today.
It is day one of the Tony Evers and Mandela Barnes administration. The director of the Marquette Law School, Paul Charles Franklin, is here on this inauguration day. New year, back to politics.
Yes,
good to see you, Charles.
New faces, new politics for the year.
Yeah, we have a Democratic governor now and a Republican-controlled state legislature. But before we talk about politics, let's just talk about the pomp and circumstance of a day like today.
There was a fair bit of it. There were bands and music and a few singers. And you saw the four former governors plus now Governor Evers together. That's quite remarkable that we have five living former governors.
It was moving to see that, yeah.
It was. And, you know, a lot of these speeches talk about working together and uplifting kind of notions about politics at its best. Realistically, we know there's going to be a lot of conflict, but it doesn't hurt us, I think, to have one day where politicians of all sides can talk about at least the goal of working together or the possibility of it. And so I think we should appreciate it for what it is, even if we don't think it's a very good forecast of what will be happening next week or next month or maybe tomorrow.
One day at a time.
One day at a time is a good plan.
And the Republicans sort of threw down the gauntlet with that lame duck session.
The lame duck really set the stage for conflict, and you saw it in Attorney General Call's speech, where he came right out of the gate saying they limited our powers coming out of an election that we had just won, and that's never been done in the history of the state. So that wasn't the warm and fuzzy part that I was talking about, but it's something that the legislature and former Governor Walker did and have to live with, for better or for worse, as we go forward. But it certainly didn't set the stage for cooperation and working together. It is notable that both Speaker Voss and Majority Leader Fitzgerald in their speeches also talked about working together as a theme. But I think the biggest adjustment will be Republican legislators that have never had, in the last 8 years, have not had to worry about whether the governor would go along with their big ideas. And in Governor Evers' position, you're going to have somebody who has an agenda and things that he wanted to get done and he told people he was going to work on, and he may face a stone wall when it comes to the legislature. So we'll have a lot to work out this spring.
What did you think of the tone of Governor Evers' speech? Did you feel like he offered a little bit of an olive branch to the Republicans?
It was relatively mixed. He talked about the higher ideals of working together, working for the people's business, not our narrow political interests. So all those words were in there, and as I say, I think virtually every speech contained at least some of that. But the governor also was not shy about mentioning his priorities for education funding, for health care funding, and for roads. And especially that last one is likely to be very difficult. But even funding for schools may face opposition from the legislature. And so we've got a long ways to go. Also, the governor won't present his budget until late February or early March, we think. And so it'll be when that budget arrives that we'll really see those plans laid out in specific detail. He didn't do very much of that today. He just talked about the broad topics.
And the Republicans are even saying they may do their own budget.
In which case, they can go down that road, but ultimately, for that budget to take effect, the governor has to be willing to sign it.
And the governor still has a mighty veto pen in the state.
He absolutely does. I think one of the issues is, without a budget, the federal government is shut down right now, but the state goes on operating under the previous budget. We could be like Illinois and go a year or two without a budget. That would be a complete failure of government in our state, as it was a failure in Illinois. So there is a real pressure on the legislature to pass a budget, whether it's theirs or Evers, and for Evers to then react to that with his veto pen.
Maybe we'll all get along.
Oh, sure. That's probably what's going to happen.
All right, Charles, we don't need you anymore. Thanks for coming in. Thank you for your
Great
insights.
to see you, Charles.
Happy Inauguration Day. We'll be right back with a final check of your forecast.